Hi, I'm David Weiss. I directed this movie, and I'm sitting here with Carlos Kotkin. Kotkin.
I prefer Kotkin. I'm the screenwriter.
Carlos Kotkin.
It's good
Great.
to be here with you.
It's good to be here with you too. So you're actually watching this for the very first time.
Yes, I haven't seen this movie. I'm excited to see it.
That's it. That's exciting. I'm really happy.
Have you seen it before?
Well, a couple of times.
How is it? Did it turn out good?
I'm very happy how it turned out. The animation was done by Rainmaker up in Vancouver, and I think that they did a very, very good job. I want to also point out that I'm very happy to have made this film with Sony Pictures Animation. I was the head of story on Open Season 1. So a lot of ideas that were introduced in this movie were ideas that I kind of wanted to be in one, and it didn't quite make it.
Oh,
And
you'll have
so-
to point some of them out.
Yeah, well, one of them was the seaplane ride that comes up later
Don't
on.
spoil it.
Okay.
Let's wait until
You want to be
haven't
surprised.
seen this movie.
You want to be surprised. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you the ending.
I only wrote it. I haven't seen it. Let's wait till we get there. So you were the head of story on the first one.
I was.
Did you think at the time I'm going to direct one of these?
I did not think of that.
Did
Actually,
you want to be? Did you want to direct that movie?
No, it wasn't even an option at that point. That was actually, I think, one of the first feature films that I'd worked on. I come from television. I'd done quite a bit of television. Talking about this, what we're looking at right now, the opening of the movie, it starts off as a kind of like a horror film. That's why it's in black and white. I thought it would be kind of fun to push it into that direction of looking like a 1940s, 1950s horror film. When we were talking about story early on, I don't know if that was even brought up.
No, we didn't talk about black and white or not.
Yeah,
We were in a room together with like 2 or 3 other people, executives,
yeah.
for about, 2 or 3 weeks eating pizza? Was it longer? I don't remember.
I think it may have been even shorter.
We made this movie in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes.
Right? It's a very fast process.
Yeah. Well, the reason it's in black and white is that most storyboards are in black and white, and when it was in an animatic form, it just looked like, well, it's in black and white. Wouldn't that be interesting if we did this opening in black and white? And the executives at the time were saying, yeah, why not? It was kind of cool because at first, talking with my producer, John Bush, we thought, well, they're probably not going to go for it, because people are going to put in a DVD and it comes up black and white. They're going to say there's something wrong with my television, or there's something wrong with my Blu-ray player. But everybody said, cool, it looks good, and it turned out quite nice, I think.
It looks great. And there's color.
That's
Boom,
what-
here we are.
Yeah.
But the black and white looks good. I think it looks so good and clean that if I put a DVD and started watching it, I wouldn't think that there's something wrong with the player.
That's good to hear.
So I noticed Elliot was doing some interpretive dance,
Okay.
right, to
Yeah.
scare off. So that's weird. Yes?
Yes, interpretive dance. Well, it's weird anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot of weirdness in this movie, intentionally, right?
True.
So we were going for weird.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we got it.
Yeah. there's, yeah. Yeah, there's some weird stuff in here.
So how did you come onto this project? You said that at the time that you were working on the first open season that being a director wasn't even an option. When did it become an option?
Well, I actually had left Sony in 2007 and came back in 2012 to work on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 in the story department. But within a couple of weeks, an opportunity came up to direct the shorts on the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs DVD. And they wanted somebody that had experience in television that could work in 2D because it was going to be a 2D treatment. And I was recommended for that because I was there. And so I directed 4 of the shorts, these 4 shorts for Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. And after that ended, everybody was fairly happy with everything. And when this Sony Home Entertainment had wanted to revive Open Season, I was recommended to the job by Chris Pern, who was the director on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
And you were excited about that.
I was very excited about that, yeah. Yeah, Chris Pern, by the way, probably boarded half of this movie. He's all over this film. He was on the first open season. He was a young board artist from Toronto, or from Ontario, and worked on this film. And I appreciate him pushing me to be the director of this film.
And you would say overall it was a good experience, I hope, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been a blast. I loved working with the team at Sony, and it was really great working with Rainmaker. They're a bunch of very eager, young, talented artists.
A few moments ago, Boog used a bunch of rabbits as handkerchiefs, basically.
Yes.
I don't remember us ever talking about should we be concerned that we're mistreating animals? I mean, because no animals were actually hurt in the making of this.
No.
Right? So we're not worried about animal rights groups and that sort of thing. It's okay. Nobody was hurt.
Nobody was hurt. It was kind of a thing with Open Season 1. Bunnies were used as stones thrown against a window. They would hit the window and slide down.
So it's keeping in that tradition.
Keeping in that tradition.
But we should say, just for the record, that rabbits should not be used as handkerchiefs.
They're very poor handkerchiefs.
Have you tried it? Don't answer that. So, in terms of the animation, how different do Boog and Elliot look from the first one, if at all? Was there any talk of changing their design at all?
No talk of changing the design. We referenced the first film, although they had to be remodeled. The rigging had to be redone because that pipeline was an old technology, and so that process had to be recreated. But we had the wonderful designs that existed back then, and there's no difference in the look. The only difference maybe in some of the expressions that the animators pushed it into.
Elliot sounds very similar to the original actor.
Yes.
But he's not the original actor.
No.
In fact, who is he?
He's Will Townsend, and Will is works at Sony. He's not really exactly sure what Will does there. I think IT, maybe he sets up your computer. Really awesome fellow, great basketball player. But when I first was given this film, I was asked, who are you going to use for scratch, which is when you record voices, temporary voices, while you're assembling a reel for the film, and you generally don't have the real actor. And I heard Will talk, and I thought, you know what, he has a very pleasing Elliot-esque voice. It sounds a lot like Elliot, just as it is. So he did the scratch, and everybody was like, yeah, he sounds pretty good. And then while we were recording, and then we were wondering who Mr. Weenie would be, he mentioned that he did a German accent when he was a camp counselor in Carolina. He's from Chicago, and he would somehow get to Carolina, and he was a camp counselor. And him and his buddies would speak in German. They said, let's speak German. And they would have this German accent. And it was the Mr. Weenie voice. And it was too funny. Every time no matter what he said, it was funny. So that's how that happened. And he was the scratch artist for both of those roles. When it came time to cast, we couldn't find anybody who was better. So we now have a new actor, and Will Townsend is quite talented and very happy.
So that's a lesson for aspiring would-be voice actors.
Yes, get into IT.
Yeah, work at the IT desk.
Yes.
Because you have more easier contact with the director.
There
right?
you go.
So what was that like when you approached him and said, guess what? We want you to do this. Did he cry? What did he do?
Well, when he got the part, when we said, Will, we actually want to hire you he did. He got quite happily emotional. It was really quite nice. He's a very sincere person.
Was he working at the desk and you went and found him?
Well, John Bush, the producer, and we called him into John's office, and we said, hey, Will, we want to talk to you about something. And he was like, yeah, what is it? So we talked about hiring him for Elliot, and he was just over the moon. And then a couple of weeks later, when we couldn't find a better Mr. Weenie, we offered him Mr. Weenie. It was like, what? He was thrilled.
And then you offered him Boog, and you thought, wait a minute, this is too much. And you took it back.
Yeah.
All right, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I actually met him the other day.
Yeah.
And he was very enthusiastic, as you say.
Yeah. It comes through in the in the animation. The character he's not forcing a voice. He's very natural. And that's one of the things I'm proudest about in this movie, actually, is that when you watch this, you can see that the characters care about each other. And that's not easy. And I appreciated the words you were writing.
Thank you.
It
I didn't write this scene. I don't even recognize it.
This is a nightmare.
What is going on here, Dave?
Well, this is the whole story is Boog being afraid and being afraid in the woods. He was raised in town. He was raised by this ranger, Beth. That was in the first film. And this piece, actually, we looked at was from the first movie. And it was basically a little misdirect. Boog waking up. It's kind of a cliche in anime, in film, to have this fake out that was all just a dream. And then he's back home. But it was a nightmare. So that's what that was about.
Okay.
And kind of introducing the werewolf element too.
So you talked about the rigging a little earlier.
Yeah.
For somebody that, not me, of course, I know everything there is to know about animation, but for somebody who doesn't, what does that mean, rigging? What are you doing?
It's like the skeletal structure in 3 dimensions, but in a computer. So they have little points that they can lift like a marionette, but it's a little bit more finesse than that. But that's like the rough idea. That's what rigging is about.
So is that one of the first things? It sounds like that's one of the first things that would be done.
First thing is design, like somebody with a pencil on paper designing. But then beyond that, once you bring it into a computer, then you have to actually make the structure, the muscular, the skeletal structure of the character.
When do we go to boards? Is that way after that, or
no?
is it
Boards
the same
can
time?
actually happen. Generally, it happens earlier. Boards can happen once the 2D designs, the actual drawings have been done, and you have your script. You can go on and board. And there's another department, the computer animation or the computer rigging department, computer modeling. They're doing that concurrently while you're boarding. They're doing that.
Do you have a favorite part of the process? Is boarding your favorite part, or is...
It's really hard to say. It's like kind of favorite kid type of thing. It's like I enjoy the writing process. We had so much fun. It was effortless, actually. But the writing process is fun. The recording of voices is fun. Designing, boarding. There's like every facet of filmmaking and animation to me is enjoyable.
That's good. So, and one part is Sweatbox? One part is Sweatbox, yeah?
Sweatbox, yes.
What is Sweatbox?
I don't know why they call it Sweatbox.
Why do they call it Sweatbox?
Yes, it says on the door Sweatbox. And when we would go into Sweatbox, it's windowless, it's dark, and so like there's
so it's like a Sweatbox.
So yeah.
What happens in Sweatbox?
Well, what happens in Sweatbox stays in Sweatbox. But that's what I can tell you about Sweatbox. Just joking, but it's we would communicate with Vancouver in the Sweatbox. We had our daily meetings where they'd be up on a video screen and it would be like the fellas and girls in Vancouver, the animation director and the line producer, and I could talk in real time with them by Skype or whatever, Google.
And what would you tell them?
Well, we would have like if we were looking at animation that they'd done the day before, I could make comments in real time looking at the screen. Say, you see how he's moving right here, like here's Shaw talking and moving his arm. I would say, can you swing it like that? Like a little bit quicker, or I need him to move his head up and down at a certain spot in the dialogue. And they were there, like it's being the next best thing to being in the same room with them. Yeah. I mean, ideally, it would be great to be working directly one-on-one.
Sure.
It doesn't always work that way in modern film.
So our friend Shaw just made his intro.
Yes.
Did we have a lot of changes to Shaw over? Was he in the 2 and 3? I don't remember.
He was not.
He was not, right?
No, he was the villain in Open Season 1, and we brought him back for
and he
this.
Has his gun that he loves.
Lorraine.
Yeah. Has he changed all that much from the first one? I don't think he has.
No, he has
I mean,
not.
he can't hunt, right?
Well, that was the thing. Open Season 1 stopped Open Season. So what Shaw is doing in our film is that he's a tour guide.
Right.
And he's not happy about it. He's still, I get to shoot animals still, but with a camera.
Right. I remember our discussions about that.
It's just Mr. Weenie starving.
I'm pretty scared here.
Now, I wouldn't exactly call you pretty.
This place gives me the creeps.
Ruggedly handsome, maybe, but definitely not pretty.
What's that?
You remember this scene?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see if Abraham Lincoln shows up.
He does not.
Oh, we talked about Abraham Lincoln being one of the silhouettes.
It ended up
What
being
happened?
Elliot.
Elliot, oh.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably better.
The scariest thing I've ever seen.
Also, how would these animals know about Abraham Lincoln, to be quite honest?
And playing around the world, too. People wouldn't know who Abraham Lincoln is.
Yeah. This is going around the world, yes. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's...
A lot of fans in Peru.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just assuming.
Uh-huh.
And there's the fireflies.
Yeah.
They look nice.
That was something we talked about adding, instead of having fire, the animals didn't have fire, they had fireflies.
Right.
And it was kind of a fun little thing to have.
We haven't gotten to this point yet, but I'm just remembering everything's coming back working on this. And this was the first script that I've written that I got notes back from a studio asking for more werewolf poop and more werewolf poop jokes.
That scene is coming up, and it's like not many animated films have a character who is an expert on poo, specifically werewolf poo, because he claims to be a werewolf whisperer, and he finds some poo when they're investigating the looking for the werewolf, because the story is that they have to find the werewolf so they can call off open season, because Shaw is back on the hunt. He's going to try to hunt the werewolf and at the same time hunt them again too. So
how did you, because those notes didn't come from you, we need more werewolf poop jokes, but you had to say it. How did you feel about it? Yeah, I don't remember when that first came up.
Yeah, when it first came up, I thought, well, that's pretty disgusting. But everybody seemed to be laughing, and I'm into laughing, and I thought, okay, if a lot of people think that's funny, maybe we can have some fun with it. So we had him kind of like testing the werewolf poo as if it was like a fine wine, and he would get the essence of it, and he was like able to deduce how long ago it was dropped, the direction he was heading, plus more details that are impossible to get from poo, I'm pretty sure.
I wouldn't know. So he's being scared here, Elliot, still, right? He's going through the Dead Bear Gulch.
That's right. He's got Ian dressed as a werewolf.
Oh, he looks good. I haven't seen the way he looks there. Yeah. That's how I pictured it exactly.
He's in costume for just a moment, and he gets stung by many hornets, and his face swells until he's mistaken for a real werewolf.
Right. Yeah. Do you remember? I remember when you and I first met. I came in because I'm sure you're wondering, how did I become a part of this project?
Yes.
Right. I just was sent by my representatives. I have 14 of them. It seems like, and there was just like 2 pages. Right? I don't even know who wrote them.
We came from home entertainment.
So somebody in home entertainment.
Yeah.
We don't know who.
Might have been Jeff Ferranini, who's been quite an advocate for this film.
He has been.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
And so there was 2 pages that were very, very broad idea.
It did have the word Wailing Wampus Werewolf.
It did have that.
And
I don't know that it had much more than that.
Not much else.
Yeah.
From what I can remember.
And actually, the first time I came in to interview for possibly writing this, you were not there. In fact, you had not been hired yet.
Oh.
And I met with the executives, and I didn't realize that I needed to come in with a specific take. I thought, I don't know, there was some sort of miscommunication or something. I came in woefully unprepared, if that's the right terminology. I wasn't ready. And I said, oh, you guys want me to have an idea? No, I don't have any. What do you need? And they said, we need a director, first of all. So why don't we get a director and you come back? Think about it. So we talked huge generalities. And then you were hired about a week later. And then I came back. And I was a little more prepared.
Excellent.
Not much.
Well.
But as you will attest.
It worked out
we
real
talked
fine.
about chickens. I think that's what
Oh, you had a
got me the
chicken
gig.
story. That's right.
I grew up with chickens.
And I did too.
Yeah, and so that was it. The rest is history. Here we are.
We bonded over chickens.
So what's your chicken history?
I raised chickens when I was a kid. Yeah,
Did you name them?
I did.
So did I. Yeah, that's why.
But
that's why I
uncreative
hired.
names, like a white chicken was Whitey, and a black chicken was Blackie, and a brown chicken was Brownie. It was like, it was
That's
lame.
very uncreative. I only named one of my 5 chickens, and her name was Lucy. Actually, I didn't know that for several years until my dad informed us that her name was Lucy.
Oh,
But anyway, we both understand the intricacies and the personalities of chickens there, which
That's right.
are very specific.
they are.
Yeah, and so then I think that's what got me the job. I think, right?
Yeah.
It's like he knows chickens. Let's start
chicken
writing,
man. Yeah.
right? So then I started writing. Oh, before I started writing, we talked more. We were in the room and we were eating pizza.
Yes.
Then I went off and wrote, and I wrote that scene.
I remember that.
I wrote quite a few of these scenes
Yes.
actually, and then we would work on the script together. And like you said, I thought it was pretty seamless
Yeah.
compared to other projects that I've been on.
Yeah. It wasn't like pulling teeth at all. It was enjoyable and fun and collaborative, and we just were able to add on to scenes that we wanted to make sillier or more. There was clarity issues. Like we would have like weekly meetings with executives, and they would give comments. And executives are like everybody else. They're an audience member, and if something's not clear, a lot of times their notes you can read, you can understand what they're not clear on, and then try to embellish and make it even funnier and clearer and funnier at the same time. And I think a lot of what we have here is because of that process. Yeah.
Did you test this with the general audience at all?
No.
No.
We would test it with we had a couple of 3 screenings internally at the studio, and we had people who weren't part of the film but work at the studio, and they would give comments. We actually had a room of artists that once we had our full screening give comments. Wouldn't it be funny to blow your nose, have Boo blow his nose into the rabbits? That came from the story artists.
The story artists have quite a bit of influence over animated features.
They certainly do.
Not just this one, but all animated features.
Yeah, every scene is actually directed by a story artist. They're the ones that create the shots. They're the ones that create the action. Which way he's looking, like Shaw looking at the camera right now. That's all the decision of a story artist. The director can make comments, but the story artist is the one that actually sets up the shots.
So you're supervising what the storyboard artists come up with.
Yeah.
And if something doesn't feel right to you, then you tell them,
Sure.
why don't we try this instead?
Exactly.
All right. And so I would imagine a key to get along with the storyboard artists, right? I mean, if you didn't like them, then that would be unpleasant.
I like them all.
Did you know them all? You hired them all, or
I knew there was one who was external in Canada, and the others were here in Los Angeles.
so having directed your first animated feature, did it give you a hunger to do more?
Yes, I like it. It's a lot of fun. It really is. I like the process. Always loved animation. I mean, it's all I've done professionally my entire life, and I never feel like I've had to work a day in my life, for real.
It's very fortunate.
Yeah, lucky.
I'm so weak from the hunger. I could eat this rope. Delicious rope.
Nice touch.
You remember that gag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see anything conclusive here, Shaw.
I think in real life, people would probably notice a deer hanging from the ceiling, swinging back
Well,
and forth.
there is a bit of a conceit in here that, he's hanging from the ceiling and he's kind of making noise.
So that's actually not very realistic, Dave.
Everything else is very much like a documentary. I understand. But
this
this one,
particular sequence,
yes,
I mean, come on.
you're right.
But it's fun. We were talking about, I remember early on that Shaw and his cohorts were going to be, they were going to be growing vegetables and that sort of thing. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah. Well,
that didn't happen.
It didn't happen. We wanted to have a couple of hunters with Shaw.
Like right there, they would notice that.
Well, but they're all focused on what Shaw is saying. It's very, very important what he's saying. Plus,
So yeah, they were going to stop being hunters because they couldn't be hunters.
right. But early on, we wanted to have like some specific hunters with Shaw that we didn't have in the first movie. They
Yeah.
were kind of generic. So I remember we did talk about that. They were like, they started a restaurant or they had
At a restaurant, they had a fruit stand or something like that. Does that still?
that morphed into, you'll see it's coming up. It morphed into two Canadians, a husband and wife Canadian poutine salesman. They have a poutine truck, which is people who know what poutine is, it's there's like actually a commercial in the film that explains what poutine is.
Let's pretend that I don't know what poutine is.
Poutine is French fries with hot gravy and cheese curds.
That's very specific.
Yeah, and it's really big in Canada,
Ah,
in parts of the U.S., but mostly Canada.
is it big in Vancouver?
Not as big as it is in the East, but
Because
there are,
I've been to Vancouver, I don't remember poutine.
you can get it there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll have to go back. So that's quite a change. That's another thing that I don't remember. Well, I came out after I turned in the last draft, my draft.
Right. Well, I mean, originally, when we were working it out, we thought, well, they'd be like dumb hunters. But
Right.
it was pointed out that, well, there are some people who are hunters who aren't dumb. And Some.
What?
Well, I'm sure there's some scientists who are hunters.
I think most people. Let's just play it safe and say 99% are smart.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
For the sake of this conversation.
And so Canadians are fun they laugh at themselves. And I worked with the Canadians on the animation of this. And along the way, they laughed hard at Ed and Edna, the poutine salesman.
Well, I do remember Ed and Edna. I guess the characters didn't change, but what they did change.
That's
Because I
right.
did write Ed and Edna,
Yeah.
but I don't recall writing the word poutine.
Yeah. That's an embellishment that came later.
Is it spelled the same way as Putin?
No, it's Poutin, and it's there's a theme of poo in this film. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
it goes
until
along
a
with
couple
it.
of weeks ago. Yeah, poutine sounds like something like poo.
So we haven't met them yet, right?
We're gonna meet
We're
them
about
shortly.
to meet them. Okay.
Everyone is counting on us, Boog. We've got to take care of the werewolf to get rid of Shaw.
What do you mean, we?
Have I ever let anything happen to you?
Yes?
Okay, so our adventures are messy, they're unpredictable, wild, but we usually survive, don't we?
So Shaw just got his information that he's convinced the sheriff that there's a werewolf out there and it needs hunting, and he's gonna do it. And these guys overheard this, and they've got to warn the other animals that open season is open, and there really is a werewolf after them. So they've got to work together, try to capture this werewolf, and stop open season.
I remember that.
That's what they're doing right
That's
now.
what's happening right
Yep.
then.
Now we're going back to Shaw's cabin at this point here.
Oh, he's going to be reunited with the love of his life.
That's right.
So you're talking about the guys in Canada and women that animated this.
Yes.
Explain to the novice what that means exactly. Once everything's all set to go, and then it's going to be animated. What does that entail?
They have the reference of the storyboards that have been cut together with sound and music, temporary music and sound effects. So they have the length of time that a scene is, and what the composition of the scene is. They'll have a layout department will do a layout of that particular scene, but then an animator takes their little three-dimensional marionette on a computer screen and will animate to the soundtrack. It's a really well. Here's our commercial. If you
Oh, yeah, I need to learn here.
Yeah.
There's Ed and Edna. It's good to see them. What is the white stuff?
a curd, cheese curd.
Huh. I'm feeling really ignorant.
Well, that's why the commercial.
Yeah, good.
We thought it would be entertaining at the same time as informative.
Yeah.
What poutine is.
Right on Highway 7.
It's funny, I didn't quite picture Ed and Edna to look like that. But now that I see them, I like them.
I'm glad. That's.
They're quite distinct looking.
It was a bit of a challenge.
I
to
wonder
get
how
that.
they met.
Well,
How did they meet, Dave? Do they have Wi-Fi where they live? Was it internet dating?
No, but that was another thing that was important to me, that these characters do care for each other also. And
These two or all of them?
no,
All of them.
these two, they're
Wait,
actually...
there's a picture of somebody in the background. Who are these pictures? Is that Lauren Green? from
It's Lauren
Bonanza?
Green, there's like Pierre Trudeau, and there's Anne Murray. And every time you come back, the pictures change. You see William Shatner and Brian Mulrooney and Leslie Nielsen coming out of the the French fries.
That's ridiculous.
And now we have Leslie Nielsen over here, Jim Carrey, all these famous Canadians.
Oh, is that what it is?
Alex Trebek.
He's Canadian?
Yes, he
Who's
is.
on the left there? The lady.
Anne Murray.
Anne Murray. That's quite ridiculous.
Plus curling footage on the television.
Nice touch, because I don't remember putting that in the stage direction of the script.
That was embellishment from Chris Pern when he did the scene. He thought it would be funny.
It's great.
It is funny. It's
Yeah.
silly and random.
Oh, that was the other deer there is injured still. That's why he's got the...
Yes.
The bad news?
Tell him.
Did we already pass? I'm missing a lot of the... We hear the movie as we're watching, but you keep talking, so I miss a lot of the... the dolphin? There's a dolphin
coming
monologue.
up.
It's coming up.
It's
all
coming up.
We'll wait for it, because we need to discuss the dolphins.
Okay, you just missed the egg laying scene too. by
Oh,
the way.
right.
Yeah.
I keep talking. How did the egg lay? So there's a lot of these moments that come up that
These
that
are moments-
not in the script, that come from the storyboard artist and from the...
These are moments that, like, when the scene was done, like boarded, it was the animals being shocked. It was just added. I
Right.
thought it would be funny that the ducks, who are boy ducks, lay an egg,
Right.
and Mr. Weenie's right next to him also lays an egg.
So this is you talking it through with the storyboard artist.
At this point, well, there's a lot of this I boarded myself too, and that was something that I had boarded.
Oh.
So I was,
How much of this did you board yourself?
I did quite a bit, yeah.
Because you enjoy that, or just in the interest of time, or both? Or
It was an interest of time, and I do enjoy it. It's one way of affecting a large section of the film.
so when you send the boards to the animators, in this case they were in Canada.
Yes.
How rough are the boards, or how clean are they? How polished are they?
Our boards, in general, were probably a little bit cleaner than some, but not as clean as others. It's
Just depends on the project.
yeah. All the information was there. I think our boards they looked pretty good.
And so when you get them back, the first time you're seeing them animated, you're not quite sure exactly what it's going to look like. You're finding out.
That's right. That's right.
And so I would imagine that sometimes you can be pleasantly surprised, and sometimes the opposite.
But for the most part, the animation we got back was good, and they were open to try to make it pushing it even a little farther. Like a lot of my animation direction was eye animation, that they're eye acting, they're looking around, and also how their mouths move, how open their mouths go. The lip sync is important to me, and how they accent to the dialogue. So I would key on that.
I think I know the answer, but maybe I don't. Why are those things in particular important to you?
Because it brings them to life. They become believable. You're buying it. You watch Elliot, and he's like, I don't know if you remember that, but this is him on an investigation. So everything is really kind of like they're spies.
Right. They're going to check out the scene of the crime.
That's right. Mm-hmm. This is where the werewolf attacked Bobby and Bob, according to Mr. Weenie.
Boog. You're disgusting.
Oh, so that was the name of the actor's Will, the voice actor?
That's Will Townsend,
So that was
yes.
Will and Will talking just then.
He
'Cause
certainly was.
That was Elliot, and that was Mr. Weenie.
Yep.
So how'd you record that? He would just do one line of dialogue, and then he would turn
No,
the other side of his face, and he would do the other.
not quite. We would go through all of the Elliots and then come back, circle back around, and then do all. Because he would kind of get into character. He would gather himself, and he'd say a couple of key phrases that were really Germanic, and that would get him into character. It was kind of fun.
So, at any point, are any of the actors in the same room together, or they'd never meet each other, the voice actors?
Some of them did. We recorded Ed and Edna at the same exact time, and Yeah, I think those were the only two that were in at the same time.
And what sort of direction do you give the voice actors? Louder.
Well, you don't generally want to give them intonation exactly, do it exactly like this. You just tell them what the intent of a scene
Why
is.
not?
Because they're actors. They don't want to be told.
They take it personally.
Well, it's like that's what their job is, and they interpret, and they are really good at what they do. Voiceover acting is really difficult. It happens to be one of the people that is in this movie. I'm looking at her right now. Melissa Sturm is Giselle, who works at Sony in marketing and actually is a voice actress, and she knows how difficult it is, and she's quite good.
So basically, all of Sony Animation's internal employees are voice acting this
That's right.
movie. Okay.
Yeah.
So any aspiring voice actor should
Work in marketing or
Sony.
IT.
Right. So here's some more ridiculosiosity in that they're going through this trailer and they're picking out power tools and such. He's got the
Monster finding equipment.
right. So this was a conversation, and one of the questions I had when I was first approached to discuss this project in terms of how ridiculous. And when I say ridiculous, I say that with affection. I mean ridiculous good. But I was wondering how far we could go, and we went pretty far. Wouldn't you say? Just like tonally and
Tonally, yeah.
was there? I don't remember there being a line that we couldn't cross, or that we did cross, and somebody told us you have to come back.
There was not. There were certain things that I felt because of being on the first open season. Like, I didn't feel as if the animals would be able to have fire. Like, it doesn't seem. That's why the fireflies. You know what I mean? There's certain things like that.
Yeah.
That's not a tonal thing. That's more of a
Because they couldn't
Rules.
make fire.
right.
They could operate electrical equipment,
Yeah,
but they can't make fire.
right.
Got
I
it.
know, and it's a silly line, isn't it? Yeah, but that was it.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Are having a hard time following my logic. Mm-hmm. With this
And we also weren't concerned, I remember, about the prior history of these characters, especially in terms of the second and third movie.
Meaning Giselle marrying.
Right.
Yes.
It's that like it never happened.
Yeah, a lot of people, as they were saying, well, what are people going to ask about Elliot and Giselle's kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Elliot and Giselle's kids?
Maybe this is a time before.
Is this an alternate universe?
This is
a reality?
not an alternate universe. Maybe it's a time before that magic happened.
Oh, so this is kind of an origin story in a way. We're just going back, a prequel. I don't know what we call it, but we're not concerned about the children.
Not concerned at this point. Yeah.
Why? Why did we go that route?
It just felt like it would have been for this story, that little bit of a complication, that little history between them wasn't as important as what the story was. Plus, we wanted Giselle to be part of this whole story without being a wet blanket on everything, like disapproving of everything.
downer.
The only girl in the whole story, and she's disapproving of everything. We wanted her to have fun too, and Melissa
Right.
was able to bring that fun to the
She did an
character.
excellent job. So wait, she's the only female character with it. Well, there's Edna.
Yeah, well,
There's a few.
there's a few.
We don't have
The
enough.
skunks are female characters, but we wanted to make sure she wasn't a wet blanket.
I see.
So we actively went through that.
So we lost a couple of, I think, somewhat popular characters actually from second and third. One being Fifi, the poodle.
That was a fun character. Yeah, I enjoyed.
I remember
that.
we had discussions about maybe bringing her back for this.
Wasn't Fifi a guy?
Yes.
Yeah, Fifi was a guy.
Yeah. It was terrific.
Yeah, he was funny.
Maybe for open season 6 or 7.
You're forgetting open season 5.
Am I- This is the 4th one? That's right, yeah. I got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was writing this script, and then I remember getting a call from one of the executives asking if I could potentially turn it in a lot sooner than they were expecting me, or I was expecting to.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Right, it was significantly less time,
Yeah.
and I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to point that out.
Well done.
that I did a great job.
You surely did. Well, here's the famous poo scene coming
Oh,
up.
yeah. There was a lot of discussion about that, about how far we could take this and how gross it could be, right?
But we were all laughing in the room. And
There it is. It actually looks like a brownie or something.
Well, that's the thing. I want to make it
Doesn't look
not
yeah.
disgusting. It's kind of like small, and made it a story point. He was saying that werewolves are notoriously small poopers.
It was so specific. Our conversations. I've never had this kind of conversation, or like I said, this kind of note. But seeing it now for the first time, it's not nearly as offensive as our conversations were.
Well, I mean, I think at the time we were talking about making it a massive pile, and fortunately, it ended up not being a massive pile.
Were there different variations that you had to go through looking at that the storyboard artist drew that you said no?
Yeah. And the storyboard artist actually was Stefan Frank. He did this sequence, and
he's also the voice of.
he's not. No, here we go. And this is it. This is where he actually.
All right.
Well,
It's not as bad as our conversations, to be quite honest.
But it's off stage.
I mean, it's bad if you weren't in the room and you're just seeing this for the first time. But yeah, I remember thinking to myself when we were talking about this scene,
it's gonna be tough.
come on, really?
Yeah,
Really?
really.
But now it's just like a little, I could see them selling something like that at a supermarket.
Study of the wailing wampus werewolf.
That is mine! This is my...
Oh, he's got the rabbit. Why does he have the rabbit? Dave?
Why do you think he has the rabbit?
Why
So
does he
there
have
was
a rabbit?
There was nothing pointed out why there's a rabbit there under his arm while he's at his spot.
Uh-huh.
But there is the old joke, of course.
The old joke being,
Well,
I don't.
that's things sticking to fur. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was the whole point of that. And if you get it, you get it. If you don't have to. I don't think it has to be explained.
Right. And where did he buy the pistachios?
Well, see, there's another line we crossed. Maybe he found them.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Some litterers.
Yeah, they don't have money.
Right. Well, he does have a backpack. And what is that? It's a camera. He's got a camera.
That's the monster finding equipment.
Yeah.
They confiscated from Bob and Bobby's trailer.
Monster would leave something like this behind.
The werewolf, eh?
I'll check.
Oh, you added the werewolves A. You added the A part for the Canadians.
That's
right, to specify.
the
to
actors
make
actually
sure.
were Canadians, by the
Yeah.
way. So it wasn't
Now,
much of a
but how
stretch.
many Canadians actually say A? Would you say 9 out of 10? Because I don't remember hearing that really at all when I was in Canada.
There should probably be a study about that, but most Canadians actually do, I believe,
Yeah?
say A. They'll point out it's much better than huh.
Is that what we say?
That's what
as
they say that we
Americans?
say.
That we
Yeah.
we end our sentences
We
with
say
huh?
huh.
I don't think that's accurate.
Rookies. Hey, what happened to him? He accidentally ate McSquizzy's poo.
Yeah, that's a bad. I hate it when that happens.
Accidentally eating poo. Yeah.
Recap. You didn't find any clues at the RV.
Check.
And McSquizzy's poo.
Well, this was that scene about stealing the seaplane.
Right. Tell us about this scene, Dave.
Well, early.
This is one of those ones that you wanted to get in.
Yeah.
Open season.
I just wanted to see them in a plane. Yeah, open season 1. I had suggested that they steal a plane and get airborne.
And remind me, what year did Open Season 1 come out?
Well, we did that in 2003. So it was probably in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you, how far did you get with this scene before it was nixed?
I wrote it. I written it out as pages. I wrote it and I suggested it, and it didn't seem to fit in that movie, but it was in my mind. And when I was offered this job and
now I'm
talking
gonna
with
put it
you,
in.
well, it just seemed natural. It seemed right. And we were in the room talking early on. We said, it'd be fun to get them and steal or hot wire a seaplane.
Yeah.
And the conceit was that they're going to go look for the werewolf up there.
Yeah.
And they'd ask the ducks, hey, can you fly? And well, of course. So they had a pilot. So they were convinced this could happen. So that was how this
Have
scene
you ever
happened.
been in a seaplane?
I have not.
I have. So how about that? What do you think about that?
Well, what do you think about that?
In Alaska,
Whoa.
we scared some mountain goats or sheep or whatever they were.
For fun?
It was really harrowing. I didn't fly it, so I didn't really have
Okay.
any control over where we were going.
Yeah.
But
There's a drawing of the
You're
werewolf.
not interested in my Alaska experience.
No, I just wanted to point out
The drawing of the werewolf, yes.
the drawing of the werewolf is another talent of Will Townsend. That's actually Will Townsend's drawing.
Wow.
We wanted to have Shaw have no artistic ability whatsoever, but he really wants to be an artist, and he decorates his pages with gold stars and stamps. Like he has a bit of arrested development from his childhood.
I noticed he spelled sheriff wrong a while back.
He's a bit of a he was a bit of a dropout.
So, as am I.
Yeah, but I'm sorry to interrupt your Alaska story.
It's not that interesting. I want to say for the record, I've been in a seaplane.
Okay.
I know what it's like.
I've seen one.
And I've also jumped out of an airplane. Have you
I
ever
recall
jumped out
that
of
story. I have not. In Australia.
In Australia.
Where you think when you're on vacation you don't die.
Right, because you don't. Nothing bad ever happens to anybody when they're on vacation.
I've often felt that, but it's not true.
I would never jump out of an airplane in the United States.
But you were safe because you were on vacation.
No problem. Yeah. So the name of this airplane is Jolene.
Yeah, Shaw tends to name things. He has his gun named Lorraine. We thought funny to name her Jolene.
I don't remember. Did the plane have a different name before? Or I feel like it was pretty random, the name.
Yeah, that's random.
So now you're seeing your sequence all these years later after the first open season. What do you think? Do you have a favorite part of the movie? This is I like how they're making all their confessions as they think it's
that. Again, that was early on in the room. I remember you and I talking about this specifically about him saying he's not really German, he's Swiss.
Yeah.
And Elliot misunderstanding what Swiss meant. And he said, "Hola, ¿cómo estás?"
So, do you have a favorite sequence?
You know,
favorite part?
Man, oh man! Maybe at one point I did. I like Ed and Edna because they're new and unique. I like the commercial.
So the characters that are in this the least, those are your favorite.
Yeah, well, they were.
No, I like them too.
Yeah, they're fun.
I do remember before we had worked out the whole story, and certainly before we had a script, one of the things that we knew we were going to have, which we're going to see in a little bit, is the mining car sequence.
Right.
The whole chasing. That's interesting to me when we know that we want certain things, but we don't have the story, or we don't exactly know where we're going, but we know this is a piece of the puzzle, so we have to find a place for that to fit in.
It wasn't lava at the time, though. If we recall, we made it into a volcano. So it's a mining. They mine for lava.
Oh,
which if you ever wonder where lava lamps came from,
it's from here.
Timberline's volcano.
That makes sense.
And it's a closed volcano because it was a dumb idea. Obviously,
so
not a good idea.
They shut it down.
They did shut it down.
Crickets, crickets, crickets.
How many? I can't remember how many sequences we had ahead of time before we had a script. Were there that many? I remember there was the
key points. Yeah, the seaplane, the mining.
We had the seaplane. We knew we wanted to do that before we had the whole script.
We did. I remember in the room talking to you about that.
ASAP.
Could you build me a little tiny house with my name on it that we could keep in the panic room?
Sure thing.
I am in.
Me too.
Have we gotten to the dolphins yet?
No.
Okay. Remind me. I'll probably hear it, but I need to talk to you about the dolphins.
Right?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's just super weird.
Well, it is random. It was just something that occurred to me in the moment.
I didn't write it. I think I wrote maybe 5% of this movie. No.
No, you didn't.
I wrote the vast majority, but as things happen, there's changes after the script.
Embellishments happen.
I understand. I'm not hurt. But one of them was I saw a rough version of the movie.
Yeah.
And I saw a speech about dolphins.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't remember writing this.
Yeah,
it's super weird.
That was the reason for putting it in.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, it was like the scene played, but it felt like there was something missing, something silly. So that's why I put it in.
All right. We'll pick it apart when we get there.
That's no problem.
How familiar are you with the open season fan base? Have you talked to a lot?
I have not.
Right.
I know nothing.
because there obviously is, because we're number 4. This is the 4th film.
Yes.
So
Yes.
People like these movies, but we didn't consult. There was no testing the waters of the open season fans to see.
There was none.
That's probably for the best, or no?
I don't know how
We're going to find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have, I guess, fans of your work? You've been in the animation world for a little while.
Yeah.
So.
Honestly, I don't follow the internet. I don't do that. I don't. I mean, I know about the internet.
You've heard of that?
I
There's an
have
internet?
heard of the internets, but yeah, I don't follow that.
But just in general, over the course of your career, have you met a lot of aspiring animators?
Yes.
How do they reach out to you, or
From time to time? Yeah. I had a TV show that I had more contact with people that would write me about that.
did you go on to hire them later, or keep in touch with any of them, or you've never really helped anyone?
I've helped some people.
Everybody needs help.
Yep.
Yeah. Boog looks great here as a female werewolf. How
yeah.
much? Because we didn't talk about. I just put in the script that he's going to look like a female werewolf, but I didn't have to get into obviously
How accurate it would be.
Yeah. So how many different versions of this look were there?
That's about it. I just drew up Boog and Drag. I thought
Was
it would
there
be.
any conversation about the pumpkins? Did we have to worry about that
you
at
noticed
all?
that?
I did. Is that a little? I don't know. What's the age group of our audience?
It's just silly. It was meant to
Yeah.
be silly. It wasn't meant to be accurate. It's just like Elliot's version of what a girl is.
Mm-hmm.
A girl werewolf.
What is on top of Boog's head? What is his wig?
It's like reeds.
Reeds.
Yeah.
Like dried reeds? Or-
Yeah.
Yeah. So there weren't too many variations of this look?
No, I had some of
It's
them
a
with
good look.
hair in the front, kind of like over his shoulders, which became an animation issue, so we had to move it back.
Why? What happens? if
It's a
in-
technical thing. It would crash through the fur. I don't really understand exactly how that happens, but it
It's
does.
a big deal to get fur wet. Yes?
Yes.
We cannot get...
We had a difficult time getting fur
Right.
wet, but I think that within our limitations, I thought that the Rainmaker did a fabulous job of faking wet when
Why
needed.
is it so complicated?
I believe it's because it's a separate model. It actually is like the fur is different, and it's just there's a cost involved.
What would you say was one of the greatest challenges about animating this in particular, this movie? Were there any challenges, or was it just all easy?
It's monetary. It was like a lot of limitations, so we had to like do little shortcuts and tricks to make it feel as if it was a big budget movie.
And I think it worked.
A lot of it, again, it's the subtleties of animation that the animators were able to pull off, because I think that really does help it. Plus, I think our story is good, and I think that our voice actors are good.
Think about it, Giselle.
So we're go ahead.
I remember our conversations about the ketchup,
Yes,
and where did he get the ketchup, and how much ketchup.
he got him from a bag from the Poutine Palace from Ed and Edna's.
Right. This whole thing is so silly, but that's what we were going for.
And that's the title of the film.
Right. We had different,
And scary.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had different variations of the title, right? There was like a whole list, I remember.
Oh yeah, there was maybe 100, and
Did you personally pick Scared Silly? Or
I did not.
I would imagine part of it is a marketing decision, right?
That's
Or-
true.
Yeah.
Yep. Home entertainment.
Are you happy with Scared Silly?
I like it now.
You didn't at the time?
At the time, I was thinking it would be better to be, the Wailing Wampus Werewolf or the Mystery of, but okay, you were asking about the
Is this
dolphin
it?
scenes coming up.
Okay.
This is the surveillance of
Right.
Mr. Weenie
This is
turning into a werewolf.
right.
Sorry.
This is Boog and Elliot being able to operate a video camera.
Clearly, yes. They can't do fire.
They can't do fire. Understand. And this is
This is it.
ah.
Elliot.
Oh, Boog, I had the most wonderful dream. Me and you were dolphins. I was a regular dolphin, and you were kind of a fat dolphin. And we were camping in the woods without a fear in the world.
Okay, so is this a dream that you've had?
No.
Or this just came out of your subconscious?
I've never had a dolphin dream.
Because I had one the other day, actually. We can get to that in a second. But so, what were you thinking here, Dave? You wrote this.
It was
we'll
just
give
random.
credit.
It was
where
random.
Credit is due.
It was random. It was just like again, the scene felt as if it needed a little emotional thing, and I thought it would be funny, especially with a gag. We got to stay awake, and then he turns his head, and he's asleep 2 seconds, and he has this really long dream in the 2 seconds.
About being I don't know why I'm hung up on the dolphin.
It's
part
just
of it.
about camping, and I thought it would be funny that it was mixing up. Like I've heard of dolphin dreams before.
Yeah.
People dreaming they're a dolphin for some.
Well, I wasn't a dolphin in my dream, but it was just like last week I had a dolphin dream.
Interesting.
But so I really like it a lot. That's
Yeah.
why I'm focused on it.
Good.
Because I'm proud of it, and I didn't even write it. That was a great job there.
Well, thank you.
I dreamt that I was like at an aquarium place where they have dolphins, and one of them was making much more eye contact with me than was appropriate.
Yeah.
And not romantically.
It's
but just-
inappropriate staring.
not-
yeah.
Just like it wanted
He's
something.
crossing the line.
And I'm thinking what, and I stayed back because it was really lit, and it jumped out of the thing and rolled down the concrete to get to me.
Yeah.
Not like trying to hurt me or anything.
Sure.
It just really wanted to tell me something.
Tell you something. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I woke up.
Wow.
But maybe in the next movie we can put that dream in with Elliot.
This is the scene where Mr. Weenie overhears them saying that Mr. Weenie must be the werewolf.
Right.
So he wants to separate himself from his friends so he doesn't eat them.
And that was Mr. Elliot on the video camera, right? We just
Mr.
saw him
Weenie.
in,
Mr.
yeah,
Weenie.
Mr. Weenie.
Yes.
Sorry. And here's our friends are finally reunited.
Yeah. We wanted to limit the number of bullets in this film
Yeah.
too, by the way. That was
Yeah.
we used most of them in this sequence here.
She looks tough.
That's the only time she looks tough. Yeah.
So now we're going to our lava
This is our
mine chase,
This is our chase scene.
which I remember it being maybe about 2 or 3 paragraphs in the script.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
Oh, there's poutine.
Yeah. This is the demise of the Poutine Palace.
Ah,
Poutine simmering in there.
so that's an interesting aspect of my job is that I will write sometimes just one sentence, then there's the big battle, but it could turn into weeks and
It
weeks.
could be
right?
6 months of somebody's life.
How long did this sequence take? Do you remember?
All in, be a couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's different teams working on different,
It overlaps. That's right.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
And how is it decided who's going to work on what?
Well, in animation, it's cast. Generally, an animation director will say, "Well, this person's really great on Giselle," or "This person's really great working with action," and "This person's really great in dialogue," and more or less, you can cast animation that way. But for the most part, most animators are pretty good at everything. That's just what their expertise is.
But in general, you would say that animators, storyboard artists will have one particular talent that's above all the rest and that they focus
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
That I would imagine that they like focusing on
They
that
do.
more than
Right.
other things.
Right.
Let's hide in one of those.
I lost.
So here's the lava pit. It came out good.
Yeah, I thought it would be interesting to add lava because it's a silly thing. Mining for lava, it seems dumb,
It does seem dumb. Yeah.
especially
I
because
don't-
lava would harden.
Just for legal reasons, we should probably say do not mine for lava.
Do not.
Because we don't want anybody coming after us
No.
after seeing this.
Yeah. And again, I mean, it's ridiculous. The lava mine has loop-de-loops in it. For what?
Yeah, that would have been hard to construct.
Yeah,
Whoever
and-
built this.
And for what purpose?
Look at that. It looks like fun.
Well, they do have fun.
Yeah.
And Ned had fun there.
And he's got his backpack still, right? Or does he?
Yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, another conceit here is that it's the hunters, Shaw and Ed and Edna, believe that that is the female werewolf they're
Right.
chasing
Yeah.
with a backpack.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a well-known fact that the female werewolves wear backpacks as opposed to the males.
Well, that's
that
where they
do
keep
not.
their pilot license.
Yeah.
That was
Who is the voice of Shaw?
he's his name is Trevor, and his name is Trevor Duvall. Thank you.
You're welcome. I knew that. I was leading you.
And
to
he
it.
also plays the werewolf, two different voices.
Ah.
One's you'll see at the end of the movie, the werewolf actually talks, and he has a very gentle, un-werewolf-like voice.
I don't remember if that was a new thing that the werewolf talking, but I do remember the werewolf being nice.
He's nice. It was important that he might look scary, but at the end, once the interpretive
Just
dance,
wanted a friend.
that's
Yeah.
all he wants.
Yeah, that's all anybody wants.
When Elliot tells everybody that the werewolves communicate by interpretive dance, he says, "Yeah, it's true. They do, but I can also talk."
That was another thing that we had before the script was that we wanted to use interpretive dance. I remember that.
Early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's another random. It's
super weird.
It's pretty weird and kind of hard to
ridiculous.
grasp.
Yeah. I like that we went in that direction.
For sure.
This ain't over.
He's a tough guy. So it's interesting how long he's dressed as a female werewolf.
Well, that became a bit of a surprise. Yeah, it is for it's about over now. He's kind of fed up at this point. This is where Boog and Elliot break up.
Right.
Wasn't that crazy? The dip
But there's a quite a long sequence there where he's dressed as a female werewolf.
I think he pulls it off.
Yeah.
Woman's gone. You don't know what he meant to me.
I also like how there's a cactus in the middle of
Old Prickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He lands on Old Prickly, and they land on Old Comfy.
I remember discussing this and writing it, but I don't remember specifically Old Prickly and Old Comfy. So that's
It was just
an
a
addition.
new thing.
Yeah.
Again, a visual, like, what's the worst thing you can land on if you fly out of a lava mine? I would
Right.
think a cactus.
But still, you're lucky to have flown out of a lava mine. So
And then after that, can we go camping?
No,
Actually, my favorite scene in the whole movie is coming up.
okay.
It's Elliot's facial expression when Boog tells him he doesn't want to go camping with him. It's coming up.
Because myself never hurts my feelings.
This is pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
I think that Elliot is it here?
You know that, Tubby?
Getting ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Coming up.
Down for a second.
I stood up for you because I thought you were my best friend. Maybe you're not.
This is really heartfelt.
You only care about your stupid camping trip.
Is that your favorite moment?
It is. It's not stupid.
Friend who likes selfish deers.
Also wanted them to have an argument not facing each other.
I think that works well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was important. I felt.
But you feel what they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Did you draw this or somebody else? Did you draw that quivering that you like?
I did. But the animators did so much more than whatever I had imagined. It's really, really quite nice.
My maiden name.
Oh no.
And how, I mean, it's a silly question, but how much sound work went into this? How much was that a factor of
Sound
telling,
effects?
yeah, and telling our story? And
Oh, but that's one of the last processes. And I had Jeff Rebay over at the main lot, Sony. I worked with him. It was quite a bit of work. The mix was like 4 days, I believe. But he had it for a couple of months, working on it with his team of sound effects artists.
I wonder if it's just like there's those sneaky pictures of the Canadians in the back that keep changing that some people, I'm guessing, were not going to notice, at least on the first viewing. I wonder if there's sound effects like that too. Is there any surprise thing?
There probably is. Yeah, there's some things that multiple viewings would reveal themselves. Nothing weird, but it's just
How many times have you seen this?
probably 1,000 times. Over and over. We could have
Yeah.
to.
Because
Yeah.
every time you watch, well, no, I don't. I would imagine that sometimes you're watching it for a specific purpose,
Yes.
right? You're
Right.
focused on one thing in particular. You
Right.
tune out whatever. Have you gotten sick of it?
No, I haven't gotten sick of it. That's one thing. I still laugh at the performances and I still laugh at the animation. You know about the opera, right? That was
I
early
do.
on too. We talked about having an opera.
I tried to write one for us.
Yes.
Got vetoed. I think it's just because my singing voice didn't go over well in
This
the
is
room.
my favorite. I do like this sequence. This is random.
This is random.
This is where Mr. Weenie actually kind of like wants
Yes.
to turn into a werewolf. So
Yes.
he's like embracing it.
You wrote this song.
I did.
Or you're a musician.
Well, I wrote the lyrics.
Why do we have what's going on here? Why do we have subtitles all of a sudden?
Because-
Oh, is he speaking and
No, it's
singing?
it's
Oh,
like,
it's because that's what happens in a real opera?
That's right.
I see. That's great.
With the full moon, I must transform into the heat.
yeah.
You know, I will say that this is very similar to what I wrote. It is. So I think I inspired you.
Absolutely.
So you're a musician too, right? Or you
Yes.
like music?
I've heard music before. Oh, yeah, I play.
So it must have been a lot of fun to write this song.
Well, again, I wrote the lyrics. and
Who's singing this? It's not the
This is one of the other composers. I have two composers,
right. 'Cause
Rupert Gregson
everybody
Williams.
moonlights
yeah,
on this one.
yeah. This is Dom. Dom. He sang this.
Huh.
My snout will grow into a toothy snarl.
This is famous opera music.
This is Carmen, and it's
Yeah.
actually it's a mashup with Carmen and the Pagliacci. It's
So-
two famous classic.
Did you had to write? You had to write to somebody's great granddaughter or something to get permission, or this was?
This is
so-
public domain.
Ah, you don't have to worry about it.
This was all Rupert's idea.
Which opera is this one? I've heard it, but I don't. can't-
Pagliacci. And it was also difficult to have him rip his sweater off animation-wise. It was a
Yeah.
it was a difficult feat.
And he's surprisingly muscular.
He's pretty buff.
Yeah. That would be good for 3D. That particular shot. Bravo.
Then he realizes he hasn't really quite turned into a werewolf. but
Yeah, not yet. Wet. He's wet there.
He's wet.
That was great opera.
Thanks. I think this is the panic room that the animals
Right.
make.
Getting back to the opera for a second, are you a fan in general of opera?
Not
Have you been
particularly.
to-
Yeah,
Hmm.
not particularly.
I went to the Sydney Opera House a few years ago
Yeah.
and saw an opera, or tried to watch an opera, but I could not stay awake.
Oh,
Just couldn't, as hard as I tried.
coincidentally, the
You're asleep
orchestra.
right now?
I'm asleep right now. The orchestra for our movie
Uh-huh.
was recorded in Sydney, Australia, with Australian musicians.
Why? How did that
That's
happen?
Rupert chose them. I
Yeah?
guess it's probably a cost, but there's also they're really good. They're world class. It was fun when we did the recording of this. We were in Santa Monica at Rupert's studio, and they were in Sydney,
Wow.
and so we watched them on a little
Uh-huh.
computer.
It's too bad you didn't get to go to Sydney.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
So you watched from the studio in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And if you had any notes, you gave them to them. And
Well,
did you have any notes?
At that point, the notes
Yeah.
I'd been giving to Rupert when he was writing the music, it was just kind of like gravy, sitting back and watching Rupert, who would look down at his sheet music and never look up at the TV or at the screen. It was like he's watching the music being played. And he's reading the notes. It's stunning. It's amazing.
What kind of notes do you give for the music?
Like it's a feeling, like you feel like, well, you know what? It would be really great if this was a little sad right in here, or let's liven it up here. But
So it's similar to the actors. You don't say, I want it to sound more like da 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 da. You don't do that.
no,
You give emotions.
you can do that. But yeah, for the most part, you respect the talents of the people who are working on it. Absolutely.
I'm not in control of my faculties. Sometimes I'm not in control of my faculties either. I just cover it up and walk away.
Haha.
A lot of poo jokes in this film, man.
See my vicious claws. My hideous fangs!
Storyboard embellishment, Chris Pern.
I have become the werewolf!
This was from the beginning. I remember this we retained of him. Early on, we wanted Mr. Weenie to think that he was the werewolf.
It's a fun little thing that him imagining he's a little tiny guy with little legs, and that whole song was about him being big and furry and big fangs and everything that he's not.
I know, weird, right? Oh, see.
Those are the homemade masks
Right. What did they make him out of?
Paper mache.
Ah, yeah, of course.
If you look closely at the model, you can see the newsprint coming through.
A lot of subtleties. It's a rousing score right now. I like it.
Yeah.
Here's where Boo gets tough for the first time. Very convincing. Have you ever come face to face with a grizzly bear in real life?
No. Have you?
Many times. No, I haven't. I wouldn't want to.
No.
Sometimes when there's animal characters in an animated feature, there's a lot of studying up on the actual animals and their movements and all that sort of thing. Was there a lot of that?
We did none of that.
Zero. Right.
No, I take that back. Like the animators in Vancouver, actually, I think there's a scene of Mr. Weenie doing that wounded soldier crawl where he actually videotaped himself doing that and then mimicked the motion when he animated Mr. Weenie crawling his front legs.
So he mimicked the motion of himself.
Yes.
A human doing it.
Yes.
And then incorporated that.
Yes, he did. Yeah. And they did a lot. They do that a lot. They'll videotape themselves doing certain action.
The skunks turned out well, I think, though, looking like a skeleton.
Yeah.
Because we weren't sure about that. Or
We were not.
Some people weren't sure about that in the room. Like, how is that kind of? But I thought it came out nicely.
Yeah. Again, that was that was Rainmaker. They were able to.
So are there things that you'll watch this movie as the director and think, if I had a little more time, or just if I just an opportunity to tweak something here or there, I wish I could do this or that, or do you have that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there
I
was
think
like
that's inevitable, right?
Yeah. But for the most part, for the way that we put this movie together, I'm very happy.
Too fast for you.
So, as of this recording, the first time that or the only times that you've sat with this movie with an actual audience have been sort of internal audiences,
Yes.
right? But still, they're human beings. They're an audience. How did you feel watching it with an audience? Your first feature, were you nervous or?
I was excited. I want people to enjoy what we've done.
That's kind of smart for a few days.
I'm allergic to hornets! Washcloth?
That's a bit of a cheat too. Him saying things like washcloth that they're not really supposed to understand what the animals say.
Right.
We have the animals understanding what the people say, but not vice versa.
I could see that though, right there. He's freaking out because of the hornets. He's just reaching out. I would grab anything that an animal handed to me at that point. Poor Shaw, huh?
This is a Paul McAvoy sequence. So he did quite a few of these sequences in here. I remember that particular one.
Tranquilizer, so he's gonna be okay.
Found our werewolf. Shaw. I should have known.
I guess he's in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, it's keeping the theme going.
Selfie. And post.
Gotta do it.
Yeah. You'll have plenty to say at your trial for posing as a monster and creating a general panic. Open season is closed permanently.
Is it?
Is it? Yeah. What kind of a crime is that, too? Posing as a monster and creating a general havoc.
The first time I turned in the script, I did not put the words "the end" on the last page. You
Knowing
remember?
that 5 might come about, yeah.
And everybody called me or emailed me and said, we're missing a page.
Oh, that's true. I remember that. That's true.
I said, no, you're not missing a page. I just forgot to put I didn't forget to put the end. I just didn't put the end. I thought it was self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But then I sent another version where I put the end and we were all good.
We were all happy.
Right.
That's complaints stopped.
That's from the first one. Those
Yes.
candies.
Yeah, he called them woohoo bars, but they're actually nummy bars because they can't read.
All right.
Back to live in town.
Of course not. Who's gonna protect you, Elliot? You can't go camping by
I like the
yourself.
full moon in the background there.
Got something for you. I was waiting.
Used a lot of moonlight for this. There's a lot of scenes at night.
Yeah, it was not common in animation.
Hey, how long you had him?
It's a secret.
That was that whole secret thing that we wove
Yeah.
in this whole thing.
I remember those discussions as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it. We're finally camping. Woohoo!
That was a big deal, camping for those two.
That was the whole story. That
Right.
was driving Elliot.
Yeah.
Camping different than what we normally do in the woods.
This is totally different. It's just you and me and the stars above our horn.
And they're a few feet away, as I recall.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I thought you said there would be zip lines and parasailing and boogie boarding.
Haven't you ever heard of?
Have you ever ziplined?
Never.
Nor have I. Oh, here we go.
Coming up.
Away from the rafts? See any riffs or rafts?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Ian. Hey, Giselle.
So hard to keep the riff-raff out these days. Boog! Staring contest, go!
What?
Ooh, you're good.
Here comes our real werewolf now, finally.
And who was the voice? You told
That
me?
was Trevor. Trevor Duvall.
Did you put your voice in here anywhere at all?
I did not.
Didn't want to?
Yeah,
Through the misty mist,
There he finally is.
there he is.
having a blast camping. I think that's a great setup.
He looks pretty scary.
Nice try, Ian. Oh, props on the fake.
How many different variations of the werewolf did you go through?
I did a number of drawings. I worked with Omar Smith, the modeler at Sony. We able to come up with a design where he ended up like that.
Because you want him to be scary, but not too scary. You want to just the right touch, right?
Well, I wanted him to look intimidating, but not be intimidating. That was the whole thing about, like, he's scary right here, but then he quickly pulls out of it.
Here we go. Oh, this is a famous song, well-known song.
Yep. It's not really interpretive dancing, but I thought it would be funny. Pull a rabbit out of his
Yeah.
mouth.
And he's confusing the werewolf, it looks like. Looks like the werewolf doesn't know how to feel about this, but he's getting into it, yes?
It's because interpretive dance is the way he communicates.
Oh, he's actually communicating with, he's telling
See?
things. Right.
And Boog sees that. Wow, he was right.
See, I told you, the werewolf communicates through interpretive dance.
Yeah, interpretive dance and talking. I can talk.
I think he means us no harm.
It's a very silly movie
It,
that we're associated with.
got to get the fireflies in there, too.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm extremely proud of how silly and ridiculous it is.
Thanks, Carlos.
And it was fantastic to work on this with you.
It was a lot of fun, seriously. And I wish we actually could have worked a little closer throughout the entire film. And
I was comfortable with the amount of time we worked. I didn't really want to work any.
Mr. Weenie.
we have a really beautiful sequence coming up here. There's another Paul McAvoy sequence coming up.
For the end credits?
Yeah.
For the...
No, this is like the end of the movie.
I've totally forgotten the movie I wrote. Oh, is this? Well, I'll just wait.
Well, this is your line coming up. This is Mr. Weenie.
Because we can't forget about him. Mm-hmm.
And everybody lived happily ever after, except for Mr. Weenie, who is now a drifter.
I remember writing that. And
funny.
my toddler daughter walking into the room.
That's awesome.
Demanding that I pay attention to her. And I
Yeah.
said, no.
So Mr. Weenie thought he'd eaten Bobby and Bob.
Right. But there they are.
Surprise, Mr. Weenie!
That's a different actress than who's voiced her. Or is
Very
it the
close,
same?
though. Yeah.
It's very similar.
This is Edna. This is the same voice as Edna.
Ah.
Convention. You know, say it and see it. When Bob says it's Mr. Weenie's birthday, and I say, gee, Bob, do you ever quit talking? But then I say, you're right. So we gathered up all of your friends for a surprise birthday party.
Very nice.
Surprised?
Not pleasant.
Huh.
Mr. Weenie is
I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, Bob is so excited. He's
Poor Bob.
He never gets to talk.
Yeah.
party.
I know actual relationships like that.
There's a little,
All right.
little button.
Well, it was a pleasure sitting through this. Oh, there's a little button.
And
Just one more time.
No.
Well, there is the button. It was honestly, it was great sitting with you, Carlos. After all this time, it's only been about 18 months since you and I first met. We got in the same room together and started talking about doing an open season 4. And you were fresh to the project, but you actually got the tone right away. And that was the one thing that people mentioned to me when they read the script. They thought, this is funny on the written page. And we just embellished it from that point, but it started off funny. And that was because of you. You did your homework, you looked at the other films, and you were able to know these characters really fast. And that's a talent, and we really appreciate it, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You were really lucky to work with me. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dave. I had a great time working on it, and I hope we work again on other projects. And it was wonderful watching the movie with you. And as I said, I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of how weird and ridiculous it is. And I hope other people enjoyed it as much as I did.
Thanks, Carlos. Bye.
Bye.